Throughout history, there have been countless acts of betrayal that have had far-reaching consequences. Some of these betrayals were committed for personal gain, while others were driven by political or ideological motives. Regardless of the reasons behind them, these acts of treachery have left a lasting impact on the world and continue to captivate us to this day. Let's start with one of the most famous betrayals in history: the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC. Caesar, who had become a popular and powerful leader in the Roman Republic, was betrayed by a group of senators who were jealous of his power and fearful of his plans for the future. This event marked a turning point in Roman history and had a lasting impact on the future of the Roman Republic. 2. The Reign of Terror. Next, we have the Reign of Terror, a period of violence during the French Revolution that saw thousands of people executed for perceived political crimes. One of the most shocking betrayals of this time was the execution of Georges Danton, who was a leading figure in the revolution until he was accused of plotting against the government and sentenced to death. 3. The Benedict Arnold treason. Benedict Arnold was a brilliant military commander during the American Revolution, but he is perhaps best known for his act of treason. Arnold betrayed his country by passing military secrets to the British and plotting to surrender the fort at West Point to the enemy. This act of treachery was a turning point in the American Revolution and had a lasting impact on the future of the United States. 4. The treason of Vidkun Quisling. Vidkun Quisling was a Norwegian politician who collaborated with the Nazis during World War II. He betrayed his country by forming a puppet government that helped the Nazis to occupy and control Norway. This act of treachery had far-reaching consequences for Norway and the rest of Europe during the war. 5. The Moscow Trials. The Moscow Trials were a series of show trials held in the Soviet Union in the 1930s that resulted in the execution or imprisonment of thousands of people. One of the most shocking betrayals of this time was the confession of Nikolai Bukharin, who was a leading communist and one of the architects of the Soviet state. Bukharin was forced to confess to crimes he did not commit and was executed as part of the purges. 6. The Watergate Scandal. The Watergate scandal was a political scandal in the United States that resulted in the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974. The scandal was fueled by a series of betrayals, including the break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate complex and the subsequent cover-up of the administration's involvement. 7. The appeasement of Nazi Germany. The appeasement of Nazi Germany was a policy pursued by the British and French governments in the late 1930s, in which they made concessions to Hitler in an effort to avoid war. This policy of appeasement was seen as a betrayal by many, as it allowed Hitler to pursue his aggressive foreign policy and ultimately led to the outbreak of World War II. 8. The Katyn Massacre. The Katyn Massacre was a mass execution of Polish officers and intellectuals by the Soviet secret police during World War II. This act of betrayal was one of the first major events of the war and had a lasting impact on the relationship between Poland and the Soviet Union. 9. The Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis was a defining moment of the Cold War, in which the United States and the Soviet Union came close to nuclear war. One of the most shocking betrayals of this time was the revelation that Soviet military advisors in Cuba were preparing to launch a nuclear strike against the United States. 10. The Iran-Contra Affair. The Iran-Contra Affair was a political scandal in the United States during the 1980s that involved the secret sale of weapons to Iran and the use of the proceeds to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. This act of betrayal was a major event in the history of the United States and had a lasting impact on American politics and foreign policy. And those were the 10 most shocking historical betrayals of all time. From Julius Caesar to the Iran-Contra Affair, these acts of treachery have left a lasting impact on the world and continue to captivate us to this day. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.